Thank you for all of the talks that have happened so far, and also for attending. Oh my gosh, mine. Apologies, I've been using a Windows computer for the last few months and I've forgotten how to use my Mac. So I tend to deal through humor with most of my life, whether it's good or bad. So here we go. This is going to be an interesting story on how to become a data scientist in 3 easy steps. I am currently, as Kerry mentioned, working as a computational biologist at WearOptimo, which is a small medical technology company based in Wollongabba, Queensland. I will talk a little bit more about that later on. But for now, I don't think my story is necessarily going to be what is recommended. And I can certainly relate to quite a lot of those of us who have spoken already today and expressed feeling a little, let's say, identityless early in their career. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. But without any further ado, let's move on to step 1. Step 1 for me was study something else. Data is everywhere, and the science will find you eventually. Like many people, it seems I started my tertiary journey doing what I thought I was supposed to do, what I thought people maybe expected me to do, given my, I guess you could say, numerical persuasion. As my sister would say, I was, and still am, a big old nerd. And to be honest, when I was young, it felt a little like no one really knew what to do with me. They would tell me things like, maths, what are you going to do with maths? Make sure that you can get a job. You've got to have money. Maybe you should study accounting. That's got numbers. And to a degree, I kind of listened, but I listened to a specific subset of people. In particular, my 2 maths teachers from year 11 and 12. Who are a big influence on me, and also my dad. And I enrolled in engineering. This got the ball rolling, but that ball turned into other balls, and eventually I made my way down the funnel to data science, which also seems to be a common theme from many of the speakers today, which is really kind of heartening to see in a way, in that my situation is not like I'm not alone in that situation, but also it does show some room for improvement for getting women into these kinds of fields. Did I actually want to be an engineer? Oh, not really. And to be honest, when I was a 17-year-old young girl, I didn't really know what it was. But I did know that it needed skills in mathematics and also physics, which fit the bill because that was what I was doing quite well in at school. I mean, no shade when I say this, but I didn't really enjoy engineering when I got to uni. And I understand lots of people do, and that's great because those are the people that should be doing engineering. But it wasn't the best fit for me. So I swapped into science. But I was still kind of, I think, really heavily influenced by what I thought I could return home to. I grew up in a mining town. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll major in geology. Eventually I'll be able to go back and work there. Unfortunately, this didn't spark joy for me either. And it took, I think, what felt at the time like a giant leap. And I enrolled in physics as my major. It was a giant leap to me because, again, those questions, people saying, you know, what are you going to do with physics? What kind of job does a physicist do? And it was really kind of disheartening. And I think even at one point I had a family member say to me that I would fail when I went away to uni, and then I would be back within a year. And guess I proved them wrong. And that was admittedly, unhealthily, quite a motivator for me. So I enrolled in physics. I did a minor in mathematics, and I did my very best to make all of my minor subjects mathematics subjects because I loved maths. I was in the top of my year at school when I finished in mathematics, and it was really, I think, what I wanted to do the whole time. So I just added it on. I graduated in 2018 with a double degree in physics and applied and computational mathematics. And in uni, I had learned a little bit of R, a hell of a lot of MATLAB, and somewhere in amongst those last few years of uni, I entered into step 2. Step 2 is get discovered. It looks ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. But the point of this slide is, you know, you don't have to find your way on your own. There will always be people around who will help. I was incredibly fortunate in my undergraduate to make connections along the way. And the first of these allowed me to stop working at a part-time hospitality job, which was awful, and step into the academic sector through tutoring at QUT. This was one step that I think had a massive impact on me in general, as it was here that I realized how much I love talking about and helping people learn mathematics. But the key here for step 2 was the help that I had, and specifically the help I had from other women and allies to women in data science and STEM in particular. And so much, I have so much to be fortunate for in that department. So I want to talk about just a few of these women. My gosh. I'm really actually quite pleased to say that I don't have time in a 10-minute talk to talk about every single person who's helped me along the way, because there have just been so many. It's really kind of overwhelming. But these ladies in particular have played quite a role for me. I could talk for hours on that, and anyone who knows me knows that that's true. I could talk about most things for hours, but I'll try and be brief, and I'll state right at the top that I have a huge amount of gratitude towards these women and the role they've played in both my personal and my professional development. So first up, we have Ruth Luscombe here in the middle. Ruth hired me to teach a first-year stats unit at QT. She was the one who pulled me out of that terrible hospitality land. And I said I'd learned a little bit of R in my undergrad, but teaching it really, really boosted my skills in that area. And perhaps somewhat more importantly, Ruth herself taught me an important skill to always be unapologetically me and not to shrink myself for a role, which I still hold on to. Next, we have Belinda Spratt in the bottom right. She was both a friend and a work colleague by the time she moved on from QT for her new data science role in industry. And she taught me a lot about how to thrive in a way that is sustainable for me. And this is a lesson that I continue working to implement in my life. Next up, we have Julie Versaloni. She brought me into the world of biology, more specifically in marine ecology, and showed me that data really is everywhere, and highlighted the importance of linking your skills and your passions in your work. And then that really, really pushes you forward in your career and allows you to make huge steps in the areas that you love. And I think that's really important. Finally, we have our gracious host, Kerry Mangerson. Hello, Kerry. Kerry showed me a few things that I hold on to. The first was a very open and inquisitive supervision style that really allowed me to tug on multiple threads of interest and follow my instincts on a line of inquiry. When I started my work with Kerry, she quite literally sat me down and gave me a list of projects and said, which one do you want to work on? Which was awesome, because I picked one and I followed that through, and it was really fun and exciting, and I got to learn lots of new skills and really learn a lot about the field of remote sensing in the process, which I hadn't really touched on before. The second thing I learned from Kerry is that there is specializing and then there is specializing. It is indeed possible, as Kerry has shown me, to specialize while still gaining knowledge in a wide range of disciplines and to really pursue everything it is that you're interested in, which was really inspiring for me. Step 3.
I'm sorry, Amy, I have to tell you one other thing too, is that you've just got 1 minute.
Yes, okay, cool. Step 3 is find your niche. When I say niche, what I really mean is finding a specific way to combine all of the skills that you've learned, or at least the ones that you've liked throughout your journey, into one thing that you can do for an extended period of time. Late last year, I landed my first ever industry contract, and my role here is really representative of everything I've learned up until this point. At WearOptimo, we're working to produce sensors that allow for accurate continuous monitoring of a range of biological processes, with clinical trials on a hydration sensor commencing shortly. And within the quantitative sciences team, we are working to apply a combination of biological models and data-driven signal analysis methods to provide real-time biological information in a range of industries. And there's a whole lot of data that I get to figure out where to put. Another thing I was thrilled to hear just this morning, if I could just take a little bit more time, is that 50% of our company is actually made up of people who identify as women, which is a huge step. And really indicative of the way forward and the way that we're going. And I just want to highlight, this didn't happen accidentally. It happened with concerted effort on the part of those hiring people for new roles. And I think that's really important. A couple of takeaways for today. But the main one, elevate women, because we're worth it. Thank you.